All right, good evening. And would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To
to
the
the
flag
flag
of the United States of America
to
and
the
to the
republic
republic
which it stands,
stands
stands
one nation,
and under God,
God,
indivisible.
indivisible, with
with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you. Before we begin, the note that the Friend Zone matter, 1940 and 1950 Main Avenue, will not be heard tonight. So if anybody's here for that, it will not be heard tonight, and call the township because we're not certain as to when it will be rescheduled. So with that, and welcome everybody to the March meeting of the Zoning Hearing Board for Plymouth Township. We'd like to start with 111 Light Street. This is Michael Martino and Jamie Martino. And Mr. Solicitor, would you do the honors?
Oh, Mike, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just going to read the order so people know.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Dave.
We're going to do 111 Light Street, then 731 Rennell Road, then 114 Chancery Place, and then 1517 Caldwell Lane.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On this application, this is the application of Michael and Jamie Martino. They seek a variance from section 1909E of the Plymouth Township zoning ordinance to allow a fence to encroach within the front yard setback for property located at 111 Light Street in the D residential zoning district.
I see somebody here, Mr. Martino. Can we unmute him?
Yeah, hi all.
Hi, how are you? I'm sorry.
I'm good. How's everybody doing today?
All right, let the court reporter swear you in.
Sure.
State your full name, please, for the record.
Michael Martino,
Spell your last name.
Martino.
Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. You want to explain to the, I assume you own the property at 111? Light
Yes.
Street?
Yeah. So we moved in at the end of October. The property is technically on 111 Light Street, but the front of the house actually faces West Elm, which tends to get quite a bit of traffic daily and most of it large trucks during the day. But basically the reason we're seeking the variance is because we'd like to fence in the property so that way when our kids were playing out front, they don't have the possibility of running into traffic and getting hit by a car.
Well, there's a lot of traffic there, so.
Yes.
Do you have any further explanation beyond that?
No, I mean, that's the primary reason for the fence. That's why that's why it's not a privacy fence. It's literally for safety. I do have some videos of the traffic if people want to see that, but if people are familiar with the location and don't need that, I'd be more than happy to skip that as well.
I don't think we need to see the videos unless anybody else on the board asks. I guess what I'd like to do now is have questions from the board. Ms. Pygott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Martino, how old are your children?
He is 9 months now, so he's going to be going through the whole playing in the yard soon.
Oh, so you just have the one that's.
Yes, I have the one currently. We're planning on having a second. And we hope to be in this house for quite some time.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So the fence that you're proposing, will it be partial U-shape? Will it go adjacent? Will it go along Light Street and in front of West Palm, well, along West, and then adjacent to that little wooden, are you replacing that wooden lattice?
That's not my property, the wooden lattice.
Oh, that's not your property?
Oh, okay.
No, that's next door.
Okay, so what would you do? How would the West Avenue fence appear? If
The
you're
West Elm?
facing your house? Okay, West Elm, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, I'm just going to box in my entire property. And it's going to be black aluminum fencing that you can see through. I can try and pull up a picture for it if you'd like to see the type of fencing.
No, I think I have an idea of what it could.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, and would go along the side of Light and across the back of your property as well?
Yes, yeah, basically I just want my kid to be able to run around the house and not get out.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Daly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Martino, I guess I see you're looking for 4-foot fencing when the maximum under the code is 2 feet. Is safety a factor in that?
Yes, yeah, 100%. I think even a little kid at 3 could get over a 2-foot fence without a problem.
Right. Okay. Have any issues from your neighbors about this, or are they okay?
No,
with
in fact, the 2 direct neighbors that I've spoken to are both in favor of it. The one thinks it would look nice. The other one, he actually told me that when he was a little kid, he ran out into traffic,
it? Yeah.
which, gave me even more concern.
Yeah. No, I can understand. I was over there yesterday just checking it out around 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, and there was enough traffic that I can on West Elm that I could understand.
Yeah,
Your
it makes
concern.
us very nervous.
Sure. With good reason. Okay, no further questions. Thank you, Ms. Martino.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Mr. Aprile?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Martino, just a couple of questions. We don't want your kids to run out in the street. We don't want any kids to run out in the street and be in danger, but a couple of questions. Is that a 4-way stop intersection there, or is it just a stop sign on Light?
Just to stop on Light.
Okay, so, and there's a lot of traffic on Elm, right?
Yes, yeah.
So if you put this fence up, how much will it cause obstruction for the cars coming down Light, that they might have to inch out further into the intersection to see if a car is coming before they can proceed?
I would say none, in my opinion, but that's because it's not a solid fence. Like, there's definitely view between the fence.
Okay, so we got an estimate from your contractor, and it looks like the new black aluminum. I guess it's black aluminum or black plate. I'm not sure what the material are, but I mean, it's very nice looking fence. Are you going to put any kind of landscaping on the inside of the fence as a barrier?
No, if we got the fence, no, we wouldn't be looking for any landscaping to block views or anything like that.
Okay, so you would agree to a provision that if this got approved, that you would not put any obstructions along the fence in the front of the house that would create a traffic.
Yeah, 100% I would. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, thank you. No more questions.
Thank you. Mr. Armando? Dave?
Yep, just unmuting. Just one question. So you're gonna fence in the entire driveway as well?
Yeah, I want to basically make it so you can run around the whole way, or then, like, if he wants to ride a bike, he could ride a bike on the driveway.
And then is the driveway gonna be like one of those swing gates or a sliding gate?
It'll be a swing gate, but it's gonna swing in.
Swing in? Okay, yeah, no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make it clear that, you have no problem with the proviso that it be the exact fence as described in your proposal, which is basically a transparent fence. I mean, just with the posts, the black aluminum posts, and no slats or anything that would block the view. As Mr. Aprile said, that could be a problem.
Correct. Yeah, no slats. Just the fence as described there, and basically, as soon as assuming you guys gave me the okay, they already have the materials ready to go with that exact description as in the packet provided.
I have no further questions. Mr. Sander, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Martino, it's a 4-foot fence.
Mhm.
I heard Mr. Daly speak earlier about a 2-foot maximum, but Dave Conroy, correct me if I'm wrong, there is no relief needed for the height.
No, the maximum is actually 6 feet.
Okay.
You don't need a permit if it's 2 feet or below.
Oh, okay. So the
That's-
maximum is 6 feet. He's proposing 4. He doesn't need relief. So if this application is granted, it's just going to be for the 4-foot fence as shown in the material submitted by the applicant, and no relief is necessary. Is that correct?
Yeah, no relief for the height or anything. Yeah.
Height. Okay.
Front
That
yard.
takes that care of that. Mr. Martino, what is the extent of the encroachment into the front yard? I don't see anything, and maybe I don't have a full packet, but I'm looking at an aerial photograph with a blue highlighted line around it showing that the fence will surround the property. I have no idea how far into the front yard of Light Street and the front yard of West Elm Street that the fence is going to be located.
It would go up to the sidewalk.
Up to the sidewalk?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we know how many feet into the front yard setback that is?
I don't really understand what the setback is.
Okay, a setback is from there's a right of way of the road, and you have a certain amount of area that you're not allowed to build anything in. Your house is set back.
Yeah, no, I understand the house
You
is
have-
setback, but
you have two
is the setback point the house or is the setback point
No.
somewhere in the yard?
No, somewhere in the yard.
You-
Dave Conroy, can you help?
Yeah, you can put there is no setback for a fence. A fence
Okay.
can go right up to the property line. The
Okay.
way our zoning ordinance states is a fence can't be placed within a front yard setback. So,
Okay.
which basically means it can't go past the front facade of a house. I don't
Right.
know why the wording was put in like that.
It's really not a setback, Dave. It's really the front yard.
Right.
Yeah.
No, can't have a fence in the front yard. You want to put a fence in the front yard up to the sidewalk on both Light Street and West Elm.
Correct.
See through so you don't have any clear sight triangle issues at the corner. Does the zone, I understand that the zoning hearing board is hearing that you're going to be able to see through the slats. Should that be something that is checked with the township engineer just to make sure that there's not a solid pole at the corner or something that's going to be blocking traffic?
I know when our building inspectors go out there, they look for stuff like that in these type of situations. We've
Okay.
done that in the past with our building inspectors to make sure, trust me, we're very aware of stuff being put on intersections and at corners, especially with fences and even landscaping. So that we can make that a condition that our building department will make sure there's a clear sight path when the fence is installed. We've done that in the past. I know this board has done that in the past with certain conditions.
Okay, then just to recap the conditions, it sounds like the applicant is agreeable to not erecting or planting any obstructions along the fence, that he will erect the fence in substantial compliance with his proposal, and he will erect the fence to the approval of the township building inspector. Does that all sound right, Mr. Martino?
Yeah, no problems with any of that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sin. Mr. Conroy, you have any other questions?
I'm good right now. Thank you.
Is there anybody from the public who would like to comment on this first in support? Is there anybody here who would like to comment in opposition? And I see no public comment. Therefore, do we have a motion from the board?
I'll move to grant a variance from zoning ordinance number 342 as amended, Article 19, Section 1909E, to allow a 4-foot non-obstructing fence within the front yard setback at 111 Light Street, subject to the approval of the township engineer.
And subject to no landscaping or other obstruction as well?
Yes, that's correct. That's-
Do we cover that, Mr. Sander?
That sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
Second that.
There you go.
All right, we had a double second.
I'm
Sorry.
giving that to Dave. I heard his voice first. Sorry.
Sorry, Dave.
Maybe quick on the buzzer.
The, and the vote of the board, Ms. Paga? You're muted, Denise.
I'm in favor.
Thank you. Mr. Daly,
In favor.
Mr. Aprile,
In favor.
Mr. Armando,
In favor.
and the chair votes in favor. Good luck, Mr. Martino, and hopefully it'll keep your son and other children safe.
Thank you. I appreciate the approval. I appreciate the time. And just one follow-up question. How do I deal with the township engineer or building inspectors? Do I need to set something up with that or?
Just apply for your building permit for your fence with our building department.
Okay, so that's a separate application.
Exactly. And then we just can't issue that permit until the decision and order is signed and mailed to you, which will probably be in a few weeks.
Okay, so that, just to be 100% clear, that's different than the permit I already applied for then, correct?
Did you already apply for the building permit?
Yeah, I applied for the permit
Okay.
first and then.
Okay, we
and
just
this
can't
happened.
issue that until the decision and order is ready in a few weeks. That's all.
Okay, all right, so just wait for that then.
Exactly. If you don't hear from me by the second week of April, please give me a call.
Okay, will do. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martino.
Good luck. The next case on the agenda is 731 Reynolds Road. And this is William Wright.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sander, would you do the
Certainly,
honors?
Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Dave, sorry to
yeah.
interrupt. Do you have the most up-to-date zoning ad?
I don't know. I'm looking at a variance from 1908A
Mhm.
to allow an unenclosed porch within the side yard.
Perfect. All right, just making sure. Okay.
This is the application of William R. Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, for a variance from section 1908.A of the Plymouth Township zoning ordinance to allow an unenclosed porch within the side yard. This property is located at 731 Rennell, R-E-N-E-L Road in the B as in boy residential zoning district.
Thank you. Mr. Wright,
Yes, sir.
okay, please let the court reporter swear you in.
State your full name, please, for the record.
William Wright, R. Wright, William Robert Wright,
Spell your last name, please.
W-R-I-G-H-T.
Raise your right hand, please, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, would you explain to the board what it is you're hoping to do here?
Yeah, I have an existing patio with a footer in it that starts basically in the front of my house about midway and then wraps around to the side. Doesn't go all the way to the back to the house, but I'd like to. Now I understand there's not a problem extending my overhang out to the end of the patio in the front, but I wanted to wrap around to the side, which is where the issue is coming up. That, from what I understand, would then be too close to the property next to me.
So are you talking about, you handed in, when you submitted your application, you submitted a plan and you showed an 8-foot wide patio and a 6-foot wide patio in the front? I guess
That's
it's in the
correct.
front.
Yes.
And you want to put a cover or a roof over that? Is that the application?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood exactly what you were doing. Okay. We have see if the board has any questions. Ms. Pygott?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, Mr. Wright, you also want to put a cover over the 8-foot on the side of the patio as well, right?
That's where I need the variance
That's
for.
where you need the variance over the.
Yeah,
8-foot
I was told there wasn't an issue with putting the cover over the front.
Okay, but you want to put it to the side. Now, adjacent to that 8-foot patio, there's a garage with a driveway, I assume, in front of it.
Yes,
Okay, then on the other side of that is your neighbor's property.
that's correct.
Okay.
Our driveways are side by side
Mhm.
and then their house.
Okay. Does your neighbor have an issue at all with
I,
Have you discussed it with them?
I have, when I did, they didn't say anything to me at the time.
They
So,
didn't. Okay. So you assume that it's okay?
yeah, I would assume it's okay with them.
Mhm. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pygott. Mr. Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So really, we're just talking about, Mr. Wright, putting the enclosure or the roofing between the house and the garage, right? Just in that space. It's not encroaching on your neighbor's driveway or anything like that.
Well, when you say garage, it's not going to go back as far as my garage. It's only going to go back as far just past my side door.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
okay. But it's not going to go out into what's currently the driveway, right?
That's correct. It won't.
Okay.
Yeah, because I need the footer right on the patio
Okay,
there, which is a few years ago, I applied for the application. So there should hopefully somewhere in your files, there's an application that shows it does have a footer on that patio.
okay, yeah, I can see it. I actually, drove past the property and checked it out. So yeah, I see that. Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Mr. Freely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for Dave Conroy real quick. Are we talking about side yard variance 15 feet on one side and he has a driveway at 12? So are we talking about a 3-foot variance here or no?
No, it states an unenclosed porch, a porch with a roof, you cannot have on the side of your house. That's
In
the
red-
variance.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with the side yard 35 total and 15 on one
That
side?
has nothing to do with the setbacks, no.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Mr. Wright, so this is coming out to the edge of the driveway?
No, it's only coming out to the edge of the patio, 8 feet on the side.
What's next to the patio?
My driveway.
So it's coming out to the driveway?
Oh, yes, not the full driveway. Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
There's no grass there, there's no buffer.
That's right.
Okay, and the driveway's 12 feet wide? So that's a standard size driveway width?
It actually, I had it widened a few years back. So,
But aren't these driveways, this is in the valley, right? Aren't these
Yeah.
driveways butted up together? So if you widened it, you came closer to your house?
yes,
Okay.
right.
Because I see a lot of people come even closer to their house. And we're talking about from the front corner back. Or are we actually talking about all the way past the front of the house?
Past the front of the house, 6 feet out in front of the house. It's 6 feet in front of the house, and then around the side of the house, it comes out 8.
Okay. And the distance from the end of the roof to the garage, is that 10 feet? Do you know?
No, I don't know. But it's the original garage, so
Okay, it's the original garage. That's a good answer.
I.
I have no more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Armando.
Yeah, a couple quick questions. Is it gonna be like A-frame, like the side of the house, or is it gonna be flat? Like, how's it gonna tie into the house?
My understanding, it's going to be an A shape on the side.
So it's gonna continue along the shape of the original house? So it's
On the
gonna-
side, yes.
And then what's the support structure? They like 4x4s or like concrete pillars, poles?
I imagine there'll be some sort of 4x4 or something. I honestly, I don't know what the contractors
Dave, can you,
proposing there.
Mr. Conroy, can you expand on the thought behind why they would have that as a zoning code where you can't go? If it has nothing to do with space, like what's the drawback of having side porches?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know why it's in the code. It's just one of those caveats, kind of how we were dealing with, you can't, what was the one?
Carport.
You can't put a carport on a detached garage because it's in the backyard. Carports can only be on the side of the house. it's one of those funky, I don't know why it's in there, but it's
Okay.
one of those things we have to clean up in our zoning ordinance.
All right,
Well,
but
I would suggest that when you have an unenclosed patio or porch, that would promote you putting furniture out there, chairs, maybe where you keep warm, hot grill. Well, not a grill to cook on, but one of those
It's-
heat tables, whatever they call them, or a grill.
Fire pits,
Or
fire pits.
fire pit. Thank you, Dom. Fire pit. And that promotes activity on the side of your house that would, if it was an enclosed porch, you wouldn't be able to see or hear it as much as you would with an unenclosed porch or patio. So I think that's probably the justification for saying none of that stuff in the side yard, because it could be very close to neighbors. For right or wrong, I think that's the justification.
yeah. All right, no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Wright, in looking at this, it's just going to be a porch with no walls, nothing other than the support structure to hold it up?
That's correct.
So it's not really an addition to your house. It's an outdoor area that you're going to put a roof over.
Right. And my real first objective was so I can pull up in my driveway, get out of the car if it's raining, and get to my side door and unlock without it getting wet, was my intentions there.
Right. I mean, I do see, you already have the concrete pad there. It is there and it's existing. So I understand why you might want to have a roof over it. And I do see you have a little overhang in the front over the front door, but I do understand that.
Well, that-
You might want a roof there. So, and you said your neighbor had no comment,
That's correct.
and I do see the garage is back behind your house, so this doesn't go back, and this doesn't go all the way back the length of your house, so it's not the full.
That's correct. It's not the full length of the side of the house.
I didn't know. Other questions, Mr. Sander, do you have any questions?
I have no further, all my questions have been answered, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Conroy?
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, let me ask the applicant,
Sure.
what will this be made of? What will the roof be made of?
I'm assuming, plywood and
Shingles?
shingles. Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Is there anybody from the public here who would like to comment in support of this application? Is there anyone from the public who would like to comment in opposition to this application? I see no comment. Do we have a motion from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve the request with the provision that the porch roof, it's strictly a porch roof and there could be no enclosures of any kind.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote, Ms. Pagat,
I'm in favor.
Mr. Daly,
In favor.
Mr. Aprile,
In favor.
Mr. Ramondo? You're muted, Dave. You're muted.
You muted, Dave.
That mouse is slipping in favor.
Okay, thank you. And the chair votes in favor. Good luck, Mr. Wright.
Now, with the last applicant, do I have to wait for anything else, or? Can I-
You'll get a written decision, Mr. Wright, from the board. The board has 45 days to render that decision. It'll come sooner than that. But with your approval and certainly with no known opposition to it, you can probably contact Dave Conroy's office and you'd be okay to move forward.
Once you get that decision in the mail in a few weeks or beginning of April, whatever, then we're able to issue permits for the job. So,
Okay,
So you can apply for, I don't know if you talked to Stephanie in our building department.
Well, originally, when I started this, I didn't realize I needed a variance, so I believe the builder came down to your township building and I guess tried to get a permit. And so if, I'm assuming after I get the written notice in the mail, he can come down and do, and
Right, you can even touch base within the next week or two with our building department. Give Stephanie a call just to make sure everything's in place over there.
okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr. Wright.
The next on the agenda is 114 Chancery Place. Mr. Sander.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the application of Sean and Gennaro Mitchell. This is for variances from section 602F and 602G of the Plymouth Township zoning ordinance. Subsection F requires a maximum of 35% impervious coverage, and the applicant is seeking 42.3% impervious coverage. And conversely, subsection G requires 65% minimum green space, and the applicant, because of the request on impervious coverage, is also requesting 57.7% green space. This is for property located at 114 Chancery Place in the B residential zoning district.
Thank you, Mr. Sander. I see a Sean Mitchell, at least that's who's identified on the screen.
That would be correct. I'm Sean Mitchell.
Thank you, Sean.
May I swear you in, please?
Thank you.
Excuse me, yeah. State your full name, please, for the record.
My full name is Sean Mitchell,
Spell your last name, please.
Mitchell.
Thank you. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
also, I also have my contractor on the line as well to respond to inquiries.
And who is that?
Right here. My name is Rob McCubbin from Anthony and Sylvan Pools.
You want to swear him in, Paul?
Sure. Spell your last name, please, sir, for the record.
Sure, it's McCubbin.
Thank you. Raise your right hand, please, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mitchell, do you want to describe to the board and the public what it is you propose to do here?
Our family is looking to install a pool at our home.
I could go into some detail for you and further explain kind of what we're looking at. You had mentioned, and one thing and I apologize. You had mentioned an impervious surface area of 42%.
Yes.
I think that Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, that probably pertains to the entire property here. I mean,
Right.
I took those numbers, Mr. McCubbin, from the advertised notice for tonight. I did notice that the application said that you were seeking 38.8% impervious, where 35 is required.
Correct, and that's so we have prepared a topographical survey that calculated these impervious numbers, and I'm wondering where the 42% came from, because I do have a calculation of 38.8.
Dave?
Proposed pool. I'm looking at the site plan right now.
Yeah.
The only thing I could think of is that, and I didn't think it counted in the township, but the wood deck. We did not
That's where
count the impervious
we
numbers.
count the wood deck as impervious in this.
So that's the difference there.
Yep.
We do
Okay,
count
so
it.
you must
We've
have-
always done that.
Okay, so you must have had adjusted that application after the homeowner submitted it.
Correct.
Gotcha. So real quick then, do you have, because I don't have those numbers, do you have a calculation on that wood deck?
I can look it up right now.
I
The
can-
Montgomery County site probably has it. I'm looking that up right now.
Because that'll throw off our numbers here. Yeah, because I wasn't aware that the wood deck counted. Obviously, our surveyor wasn't either.
And when we say wood deck, is that the same as, I know wood is not the same as Tyvek.
It would be the raised your raised deck in the back. Yeah.
Your existing deck, the one that's already there.
Yeah, it's showing 168 square feet and 382 square feet. So that's whatever that comes to, 50, about 450 square or 550 square feet.
Now the deck is raised, there is grass underneath it. So that's why I was asking the question. I mean, I'm not familiar with it, but I didn't think it was.
Well, when rain comes down, it hits the deck and it disperses. It doesn't go straight into the ground as if there's nothing there. So the township's policy in this case, some do, some don't. It's different in different townships, but this one counts a deck like that, a raised deck, as an impervious coverage.
Okay. Thank you, Dave.
Sheldon, were you going to do a further explanation as to what you're doing?
Yeah, I was. I want to get these calculations right so I can go through it with you because like I said, I was unaware that there was a change to this.
Yeah, for
42.2.
accuracy purposes, the application itself was not changed. Nothing was crossed off the application and changed. The
Right.
change occurred when Mr. Conroy checked the plan submitted with the application and determined that there was additional impervious coverage already on the property. So he advertised it. The notice for this hearing advertised it at 42.3% impervious and 57.7% green space rather than what the application read.
But it was still a variance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
either
yeah.
way.
They need a little more of a variance. Instead of
Yes.
38.8% impervious, they're looking for 42.3, which is what, 3.5
Percent more.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so so I have some numbers here. So we have a lot. So I'll just kind of go through how we got here. So this lot is 0.371 acres. It's 16,151 square feet. So of the total existing on the lot, it consists of an existing dwelling, existing driveway, front walkway, daylight basement, existing shed, and then our open composite or wood deck over bare earth there, which brings us to roughly 4,959 square feet, or 30.7%. So that's where the lot stands today. We are proposing to build an in-ground pool, 856 square feet, a patio around the pool, concrete patio around the pool, 860 square feet. And then of course we have our pool coping, our 1 foot of pool coping edge at 150 square feet. So total and proposed brings us to 6,825 square feet, or the 42.3% over our allowable 35% maximum for this particular zoning district. So the variance, yeah, we're seeking is relief from 35% to bump that coverage up to the 42.3%. And then I guess, and again, I was unaware, obviously the green space now shifts and we're looking for that relief as well.
Okay, so that's basically the presentation.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what we're looking for. Like I said, we have a site plan prepared, topographical survey plan prepared, showing how we're going to grade the property, showing where the water is going to flow. We're basically, grading the property so the water as it flows down towards the backyard, towards the swimming pool, and then from the right side of the swimming pool, everything is going to continue to flow into. There's a stormwater easement on the left, would be the west side of the property, I guess. The northwest side of the property, there's a stormwater easement because there's a storm sewer collection system on that side of the neighborhood. So we are still pushing water in that direction. So it's not going to impede anything as far as water flow to neighbors directly.
Questions from the board, Ms. Pygott?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Mitchell, I did drive by your property. I'm not sure if there's an existing fence, but is there, or will there be a fence built around the pool as well, or?
There's no existing fence, but we will build a fence if we're approved and have a pool installed.
Okay, how deep is the pool going to be?
Rob, can you answer? Because I can't remember, honestly.
Yep, 3.5 to 7 foot.
Really? Okay. Okay, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Daly?
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Mitchell and Mr. McCubbin, has there a allowance been made for draining the pool as necessary? Or does that tie into the stormwater runoff?
Draining the pool, it would be draining the pool on a.
So
What do you mean?
Like on an annual basis or something? I have neighbors, who
So-
run their.
Yeah, so believe it or not, you only take a pool down about 3 inches in the wintertime.
Oh, okay.
So you don't actually drain the pool all that much. You only take the pool water down about just below the tile line, and then everything will get plugged and a cover will go over top of it.
Okay. How's that draining accomplished? I mean, and can the property accommodate that?
It could be done with a hose, with a pump. Actually, it would be done with a separate pump. It wouldn't go through the filtration system. It would be done with a separate pump. And obviously there would be hose long enough where it could get to where it needs to go.
Would that typically be out on the Chancery Place or down toward the? Because I know it's a sloping property. I suspect it would probably.
Sloping property down towards the back. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, please.
It could be towards Chancery Place out to the street. That's not that far. They definitely have hose long enough to do that. It could be to the storm easement, or I guess if it's on a dry day, that you typically get in the fall. So it really wherever the township would want us to do that.
Okay. And any issues from the neighbors with putting in the pool? Or are they okay with that?
I've spoken to both my neighbors and they're good.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. Thank you, Mr. McCubbin. Appreciate your
Thank you,
your
Mr.
responses.
Thank you. Mr. O'Creely?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm good. I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Raimondo?
Quick question, Mr. Conroy. If we do approve the pool, is there any additional engineering to make sure that there isn't any water runoff issues created?
Right now, you don't need to apply for a grading permit in the township. And that at that point, that's when the township engineer gets involved. So it's basically a requirement of the homeowner, the contractor, to make sure you're not creating a stormwater runoff condition for your neighbors. So, and of course, our building inspectors would go out there, and if they notice anything, of course, they're going to let us know. And at that point, maybe a grading plan would be necessary, but we don't require in Plymouth Township a grading permit or plan for a pool installation.
Yeah, that would be my only concern, but no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And your fence, how tall is your fence going to be, Ms. Mitchell?
However tall it needs to be. I'll be honest with you. My husband got a few quotes and I honestly just asked Dad how tall the fence is going to be.
Sean, are you guys doing aluminum fence?
I believe so.
Okay, so it's going to be 54 inches. It's going to be 4.5 foot tall.
4.5 feet, okay.
Mhm.
All right, because I just saw, again, it's a proposed fence to be constructed in accordance with township requirements without any, and it's going to stay in the rear yard and go all the way out to your property line, it looks. Is that correct?
Yes,
In the back? Okay.
yes.
I have no further questions. Mr. Sander,
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
anything further, Mr. Conroy?
Now, just the fence is required when you install a pool as per the building code. So that is a requirement.
Safety requirement. Is there anybody here in the public who'd like to speak in support of this application? Is there anybody here who would like to speak in opposition to this application? I see no comments. Do we have a motion from the board?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we grant a variance from ordinance number 342 as amended Article 6, Section 602F and 602G to allow 42.3% impervious coverage where a maximum of 35% is allowed, and to allow 57.7% green space where a minimum of 65% is required at the property 114 Chancery Place in the B residential zoning district in order to allow installation of a pool, swimming pool.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you. I got.
Thank you.
Ms. Pygott,
In favor?
Mr. Daly,
In favor.
Mr. Aprile,
I vote in favor.
and Mr. Armando.
In favor.
The chair votes in favor. Good luck. It looks like a nice pool and a nice area. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank you, thank you all. Now, as the two prior residents said, I guess I can proceed with permits at this point, Mr. Conroy?
Yeah, you can just talk to the building department, touch base with Stephanie and our building department, our building permit clerk.
Okay.
Like the previous applicants, once you get that decision from the zoning hearing board in the mail within the next few weeks, at that point, permits then can be issued. So
Okay.
not until you get the zoning hearing board decision though.
Okay,
So by the meantime, touch base with the building department.
I'll be there tomorrow.
Well, give us a call. We're close to the public, but
I'll call them and I'll email them
Okay.
tonight and I'll call them in the morning.
sounds good.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms.
you.
Mitchell.
Good night.
Thank you,
Night.
Mr. Cummins. Have a good night.
Next on the agenda is 1517 Coleman Lane. Mr. Sander.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the application of Adam Heffelfinger for a variance from, one of the variances is from section 1800.E to allow an 80% increase to a non-conforming use where a maximum expansion of 25% is allowed, and a variance from section 1908.1 of the Plymouth Township zoning ordinance to allow a 24-foot by 28-foot detached garage where a maximum of 24 feet by 24 feet is allowed. This is for property located at 1517 Colwell, Colwell Lane in the C residential zoning district.
Mr. Heffelfinger is here.
Yes, that's correct.
And Paul, would you swear him in, please?
Yes. Mr. Spell your full name, please, for the record.
Adam Heffelfinger, first name Adam, last name Heffelfinger, Heffelfinger.
Thank you. Please raise your right hand, sir, so I may swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes,
Thank you.
Before you begin, Mr. Aprile, do you still have time or do you have to run?
Amy's not on, right?
She's on. She's
Oh,
on.
she is on?
Yes.
If she's on, I could go.
Yeah, if this is going to take more than 6 or 7 minutes, which it probably will, then it's probably wise if Dom step off and Amy step in and hear this application from the beginning.
That's fine with me, as long as it's okay with you, Mike.
That's fine with me, Dom. Have
Thank-
a good evening.
Thank you. I gotta put my other hat on now.
See you, Dom.
See you, Don. Have a good one.
See you guys, thanks.
Yeah.
Bye now.
All right, now, sorry.
Okay, yeah, we ought to let the record reflect, Mr. Chairman, that Mr. Aprile is stepped aside and that Amy Lettich, our alternate member, is sitting as a voting board member for this hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Santa. Mr. Heffelfinger, would you please explain to the board and the public what it is you propose to do?
Yes, I'd like to introduce my architect, Matthew Petrowski, I believe I said that right, and builder Jim Dumont from Knights Construction. They're both with us this evening. My architect has a much better view on what's going on with this, but we're trying to do capital improvements with our residence and garage. And I'm sure you guys have reviewed those plans or saw those plans, and I'd like to turn it over to those guys if I could.
I'd like to have them both sworn in then. I guess we can start with Matt.
Matt, please say your full name and spell it for the record.
Sure. Matthew V. Piotrowski. That's Piotrowski. And I'm an architect licensed in Pennsylvania.
Thank you. Please raise your right hand so I may swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
And before we proceed, I'd like to have Jimmy Dumont, I believe is the builder.
Speaking. Hold on. I can't get this going.
Sounds like dinner time
Yeah, got the kids running around. Sorry.
or playtime.
That's all right. All right.
Sorry.
Anyway.
How are you?
State your full name for the record, please, so I may swear you in.
James Dumont, D-U-M-O-N-T.
Thank you. Please raise your right hand so I can swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
So I guess, Matt, you want to explain?
Yes, thank you. We're looking to expand the garage and expand the footprint of the house. The property is kind of unique in that it has two frontages. It fronts on both streets. The driveway comes off of Burke Street. And I'll start with the garage. The reason we're asking to expand the garage is parking is kind of tight there, and Mr. Heffelfinger has a pickup truck and he would like to park it in the garage. Unfortunately, the existing garage, the doors are not tall enough and the length of the garage is not long enough. We're not looking to expand the width of the garage, which if we expanded the width of the garage, depending on which side, we would be affecting the neighbor and expanding the nonconformity differently than the way we are. We're looking to expand the rear of the garage, which is 5 foot 2 inches in expansion, and that would face the house, not the street. So from the street, other than changing the roof line of the garage, which which is a by right situation, we don't need a variance to change the roof line of the garage. You wouldn't see anything different from the street. In fact, in my opinion, from the street, this garage is much better looking than the existing garage. The existing garage has undersized doors. It's a little bit on the squatty side and short. So from the street, this proposed garage would, I think, be an enhancement. I believe that expansion of the garage is de minimis in that no one looking at that garage is going to know that we needed a variance to expand the garage. Moving to the house itself is an existing nonconformity. On either side, it extends into the side yard setbacks. The house is what I'm going to describe as a Cape Cod or kind of a bungalow style. It has a full first floor, but the second floor, the roof line comes all the way down to the floor. So on the second floor, you cannot, you lose a lot of space. The bedrooms have low ceiling heights. You can't walk all the way out to the end of the house. So what we're proposing to do is expand the rear of the house in terms of footprint and put a rear porch on the house. Because of the condition having two streets, 99% of the time, anyone coming to the house, including the homeowners, are coming from Burke Street. So right now, they're walking through the backyard and entering on the side of the house, which is kind of a weird condition. The proposal would be to put a rear porch on, and even though that's not going to be the front of the house, 99% of the time people are coming to that rear porch. So it's much more usable and inviting rather than entering the side of the house. We're expanding, proposing to expand the footprint towards the rear of the house and put a full second floor on the house. We don't need a variance for the height of the second floor. We're well within our restrictions from a zoning standpoint. In the front of the house, no one walking by or driving by is going to know that we needed a variance to expand the nonconformity, because in the front, it will, other than having a second floor, it will have, it's within the current zoning code. So again, I think that the expansion, on paper looks like a high number, but in reality, it's what I would consider a de minimis variance, in that we're not going out on the sides any further than the existing house. We're just expanding it towards the rear of the property. And I'd like to point out that we're not well, but we're under the impervious coverage ratio. So that the house fits on the lot. We're not asking for a coverage variance, which sometimes the houses are too big for the lot. I don't think this is the case here. I think architecturally it will enhance the house and enhance the neighborhood. I think it'll be a positive a plus to the neighbors.
Anything further, Mr. Heffelfinger?
No.
Okay. See if the board has any questions. Ms. Lettish?
I was just looking at, there's an existing garage there, so you're just making it a little bit bigger and taller, correct?
We're making it deeper. We're expanding it to the rear of the garage, being the inside of the property, and we're making it a few feet taller in height.
Have you reviewed this with your neighbors? Have you received any feedback from your neighbors?
I can't answer that.
Have I got any feedback from my neighbors? No, nobody's actually approached me on this. They've all received the letters from the township stating that we were having this meeting this evening. And the reason was I wanted to park my pickup truck inside. It increases our parking there. In the wintertime, I'm emergency responder for the township, so it makes it easier for me to pull out of my garage and to respond to calls. This past winter, as you guys know, we had a lot of snow. And it took me an extra 5 minutes, and minutes count when it comes to the emergency services. So that's partially why we wanted to do this garage expansion.
I don't have any other questions right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pygott?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Heffelfinger, I just need a little clarity on the construction or the current structure of the house. I did get a chance to drive by it, and I saw it from the Colwell Lane side. I'm not even sure where Burke Street is. So if I'm on Colwell Lane, that side of the property, is that the front or the back?
Well, Lane is,
If I'm across the street in that office parking lot, is that, and I'm looking across at your house, is that the front or the back?
yeah, you're talking about being in 625 Ridge Pike.
Yes, directly adjacent, yeah, across from your house here.
That is the front of the residence. The rear of the residence is on Burke Avenue. You can enter off of Wilmer and come down, and it exits onto North Lane, or you can come in the other side.
Okay, so if I'm looking at your house from the front, then to the left are the 2-car garages, is that correct? Facing, say, Ridge Pike.
You're looking at my neighbor Lorraine's house.
So your garages are, well, they seem to be attached to your house unless I'm looking.
You're looking at the wrong house, actually. Our garage
Wrong
and
house?
Yeah, this garage is behind the house.
Behind the house?
Yes,
Okay.
it's on Burke, it fronts, it opens on the Burke, fronts on
Street.
Burke Avenue.
Oh, okay, maybe I was looking at the wrong
Yeah, if
house.
you go up Colwell, you turn left on Wilmer and then left on Burke.
I never saw that side of the house then, I was only on Colwell.
we have an odd piece of property. It actually goes all the way through to the other street, which is actually kind of nice because we don't have to fight traffic on Colwell Lane.
So are you proposing to build an entire second floor? And you're gonna take down the existing second floor? You're gonna remove it and put a whole new second floor on?
On the house?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, the existing second floor is only a partial second floor in that you can't walk all the way out to
Yeah, and I
the
thought I
wall because
saw
of the
that.
roof. So
Right.
we are proposing to take the roof off and put a second floor on that would have full 8-foot walls and then a roof on top of that, more of a conventional style house.
Would you expand the first floor at all to be in conjunction with the second floor as far as size or? No?
Yes, that's why we're required, that's why we're required a variance, because we're extending, and I don't know if you have the plan in front of you.
I did.
To the rear of the house, we're expanding the first floor and then obviously expanding the second floor over top of that.
On top of that, okay.
But the expansion is in line with the existing side walls of the house. We're not expanding
Beyond.
either way towards the neighbor. We're expanding into Mr. Heffelfinger's rear yard.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. No other questions.
Thank you, Ms. Pygott. Mr. Daly?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Mr. Heffelfinger, are you increasing the width of the garage? It looks to me like it's about 23%.
We're just extending out the back 5.2 feet, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, we're only expanding out the rear 5 foot 2 inches. The width of the garage is 24 feet and it will remain 24 feet.
Okay, I must have been mistaken then in what I was reading. It looks like the current garage has 2 bays, each with its own set of doors. Do you own the entire garage, or do you share it with a neighbor?
No, the entire garage is my garage on my property.
Okay. Those are the only questions I have, Mr. Heffelfinger and Mr. Piotrowski. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Mr. Ramondo?
Yes, make sure I'm unmuted. Yes. Just quickly, so you're gonna leave the garage structure and just, or are you gonna take it totally down and rebuild the garage?
No, I think we can leave, we're gonna have to modify the front wall, the wall where the garage doors are. The 2 side walls, we're gonna leave them. We're going to extend them in height so that we can get the correct size door in, and then obviously the addition in the rear will be new.
Right, okay. And just, this might be more for Mr. Conroy. Can you explain a little more detail? The 80% increase of non-conforming use, where does that like specifically land?
It's, if you look in section 1800 of our zoning ordinance, it talks about nonconformities. And this one, I believe was, section 1800E. It's an extension. You're allowed to extend an existing nonconformity, which in this case was the side yard on the existing structure. You're allowed to make that structure 25% bigger. So if you go above that 25% threshold, you would need zoning relief from the zoning hearing board.
So it's basically the size of the addition that is.
Exactly.
But even though they're coming back, not going side.
Exactly. Since the side yard's an existing nonconformity, it makes the building an existing nonconformity. Therefore, you can make that building 25% bigger, but once you make it larger than that 25%, you need zoning relief.
Okay. All right. Thank you for clarification.
Hopefully that explains it. I didn't even
No, you
understand
nailed it.
what
No,
I
you
just
nailed it.
said, so whatever.
Want to know exactly what each. So it's basically the size, even though they're staying within the width of the house. It's just the size of it going back, which makes it a variance request.
Right.
Exactly. Right, thank you. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks to me like you're taking out the 2 garage doors, adding in 1 larger garage door. Is that correct? Am I looking at the plans correctly?
That's correct.
So it'll be higher in height so that the truck can fit in. Don't have any problems.
No, we've taken that into account.
Right, and that's why you're doing the 1 door and it's a higher door than the 2 existing doors and it's wider, so you don't have any problems fitting in. Is that basically what you're doing with the garage?
Correct.
Right, and you're making obviously a higher roof and then the 5 feet, 2 inches longer in depth. And then just looking at the plans, I mean, just expanding on the non-conforming side yard for the length of the new addition. You got a nice porch on the back too, so. Anyway, and you comply with the height, so I have no further questions. Mr. Sander, do you have any thoughts?
Just a quick clarification. In the testimony, Mr. Piotrowski said that neither the height nor the length of the garage was satisfactory to park the pickup truck in, but I don't see any, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Piotrowski, there's no proposal to increase the height of the garage, is there?
Yes, the existing garage, it has a very shallow roof on it, and the existing garage, if you look in that plan, on the side view of that garage, it shows the existing peak, and the existing peak is labeled 11'9" in height, and we're proposing 15'7". So 11'9" is a very unusually shallow garage. It's such a shallow roof that it's from a usability standpoint, it's not very usable. The 15'9" is more in character with most garages that you see.
15'7".
Yeah, I'm sorry, 15'7". I apologize.
Okay. So you're doing 5'2" more on the length of the garage, the deepness of it, as it were, and you're going from 11'9" to 15'7" on the height. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. And the side yard the current side yard setback on the one side that is closest to the, I guess, when you're looking at the plan, the left-hand property line, I guess it's west, but I'm not sure. That's not expanding at all.
Correct. For
Okay.
the house nor the garage.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. John Roy.
I'm good, thank you.
Is there anybody here from the public who would like to speak in support of this application?
My name is Austin McGuire.
You want to swear him in, Paul?
Yes, spell your last name, please, for the record.
Capital MC, capital GUIRE.
Raise your right hand, please, sir, so I may swear you in. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
I'd like to clarify one thing that was mentioned earlier about the two-car garage. If you were standing by Judge Bernhardt's courtroom and you looked across the street, you probably saw my two-car garage.
Okay.
The other thing is the distance between Adam's house and his garage is like 20 or 30 feet. So there's more than enough room between them for the expansion from both the house and the garage. And he takes his property very seriously. So I really am in favor of it.
Thank you. Any further comments, Mr. McGuire?
No, unless you have questions for me.
I do not. I don't think the board does.
Mr. McGuire, what's your address, Mr. McGuire?
1521
Caldwell?
Caldwell.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public with any comment, either in support or in opposition?
I am the direct neighbor. I'm 1519,
And your name is,
Lorraine
and your last name?
Gambone,
Could you spell that, please?
Gambone.
Okay, and you're 1519 Caldwell.
Yes.
Okay, can we swear her in? Sorry, Mike, I'm rolling with it.
Ma'am, raise your right hand, please. Ms. Gambone? Are you
Yeah,
there?
Yeah, we need to see Miss Gambone.
Here I are.
Okay.
There she is.
Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
There we go.
You have any comments, Ms. Gambone?
I'm all okay with it and excited to see it happen.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody, I guess I don't see anybody else possible to testify, so, unless I'm missing something. Anyway.
I don't think so, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gambone. Do we have a motion from the board?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to grant the variances in section 1908.1 and section 1800.e to allow 80% increase of a non-conforming use where a maximum of 25% is allowed, and to allow a 24 by 28 detached garage where a maximum of 24 by 24 is allowed.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. The vote now, Ms. Lettich.
Approved, in favor.
Okay. Ms. Bygott,
In favor?
Mr. Daly,
In favor.
Mr. Armando,
In favor.
and the chair votes in favor. Good luck, Adam. It looks like a nice project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys listening to our case today, and thank you, everyone, for attending.
Welcome. Thank you, Mr. Welcome.
Good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Petrovsky.
All right, so I guess that concludes our business tonight.
Yeah, you look happy, Mike.
Yeah, Michael, unlike pre-hearings that go on forever,
Which Mike
this one
doesn't
went
have to
on
sit
an hour
through.
and 18 minutes, and we got done 4 applications.
Yeah.
Well, some people are efficient.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Anyway. All right, everybody, have a good evening, and see you all in April.